I want to share an experience that I had when we moved here to South Carolina. Now, we moved from Hendersonville, North Carolina. How many of y'all know Hendersonville, Asheville area, right? It's mountains, right? It's beautiful up there. The weather's different too. Had you noticed that? When we moved down here, everyone I told up there what we were doing said exactly the same thing, like word for word. I was going to have it printed on a card and say, I'm going to tell you what you're about to say. Say, we're moving to Columbia, and they say, it's hot down there. Every single person. And then, of course, when we got down here, people said, where do you move from? And we said, Hendersonville. They look at me like, no, you're supposed to move there from here. You're not supposed to move here. Like, what is going on? Well, when we were moving down here, I knew about myself. I had a significant aversion to what y'all call hot weather. And it goes way back for me. When I was a kid, my family moved from central Pennsylvania to New Orleans. Okay. Now y'all are like, it's hot down there. And I couldn't believe it. It was like another planet. I have this memory of opening the front door of the house and it was like a blast furnace. I'm like, this is crazy. Not only that, there's lizards everywhere. We didn't have that. We'll use the nice name, palmetto bugs. They're bigger there than they are here, even. And they'll carry you away. And mosquitoes that leave a welt on the size of a quarter. I mean, it was a different world. The whole place is below sea level. I'm like, what's wrong with y'all? Below sea level. And so that stuck with me for a long time. I'd get super irritated really fast if I got hot and sweaty. And when we were moving here, I knew this is not going to work. So either the weather here is going to change, or I got to change my approach to it. And I share this with you free of charge here today, in case it works for you. I decided it's never hot in Columbia, South Carolina. It might be warm. If it's over 80, it's warm. Starting to get upper 80s, that's pretty warm. Starting to get in the 90s, even upper 90s, that's mighty warm. But it is never hot. Now, doesn't that seem silly? Like I'm just playing tricks with words or whatever? I will tell you, it worked. It worked. Because the words were just the outward expression of an inward shift that I made. And I might voice it as saying it's never hot in Columbia, but inside, what I was doing was saying, I will never be like I was back then. I'm not doing that anymore. And it worked. And it took. So if anyone ever says to you that it's hot in Columbia, South Carolina, you can say, no, it's not. Sit down. I'm going to tell you how this works. And talk about degrees of warm, all the way up to mighty warm. Now it's mighty humid today. I don't know if you've noticed. I noticed. And so if you say or hear somebody say something like, man, it is hot, humid, and miserable out today, what I want you to know is hot and humid, those might be facts. Miserable, that's a decision that you made.
Yes.
I invite you to unmake that decision. So what changed? Did the temperature here change? Do I have that kind of power? Do I have power over the weather? No. What changed was the meaning that I gave to the experience of feeling what it feels like down here when it's warm. That's what changed. Have you ever had an experience where something that you knew was one way, you knew it was one way, and later to find out it's not that way, it's a different way? Here's a simple example. You might be driving on the highway and you may have noticed that there is variation in driving skills and situational awareness. And I am working on this on myself It is not my job to teach the entire state of South Carolina that the left lane is the passing lane. And if you're not passing, you're in the wrong lane. Now, I try to let that go and say, I'll let each person be who they are, but I can't help it. When I'm passing someone on the right, I have an attitude. Like, see what's happening? Don't get me started. I mean, just driving is our teacher, is it not? But maybe you're on the highway and someone's driving like crazy. They're zigging in and out. They're trying to get ahead of everyone. And I think maybe they're a young person, because you get to be a certain age. You're like, where's the fire, son? What's it? This ain't a race. But when I was young, I might have been that person. And so you can get mad at them, right? You can start applying, like, didn't they get the memo of Reverend Dan's, this is how driving works, and how you're not doing it right? Or you can choose a different story. For example, you could say, maybe they just heard that their loved one was in an accident and is in the ER, and they are on their way to be with them. Now, if you knew that was true, if I knew that was true, I wouldn't be having an attitude about them. I wouldn't be thinking any of those things. In fact, if I knew it, I'd be happy to pull off the side of the road and let them go by. That would be just fine. Now, what changed? The story that I told myself about what's going on here in front of me, that's what changed. I heard a story about two Buddhist monks that were walking. There was an older monk and a younger monk. And they're coming into a town, and this very fancy carriage pulls up, and this woman calls out to them, come over here. I need you to help. She points at the older monk. You got to carry me over this mud. I'm not walking on this muddy ground with my fancy shoes. Carry me over to the side. So the older monk carries her over to the side. And all the way that he's doing that, she's complaining. Slow down. What do you think you're doing? You're holding me too tight. You ever done this before? You have no idea. Let me go. Get me out of here. That was terrible. Leave. But he carried her over there, and she complained the whole time. So these two monks continue on their walk, and hours later, the young monk says to the older one, because he's been thinking about it, I can't believe the way that lady was talking to you. You helped her out, and all she did was complain about it. And the older monk looks at him and says, I put that woman down 5 hours ago. You're still carrying her around. You're still carrying her around. Watch what's going on within you. Have you ever replayed something that someone said for like 10 years or more? It's as if our memory isn't just replaying what happened, it's repeatedly experiencing the meaning that we assigned to what happened. It's not the same thing, it's a different thing. Now think about this. If we create meaning for one event, like the driver or the monk who carried the lady or whatever it may be, what happens during our entire lifetime? You got a whole mountain full of those things that we're carrying around. I want to reference the book of Genesis in chapter 1. And you know this, everybody knows this. It says, let us make humans in our image according to our likeness. You know that verse. So my takeaway from that is we are made in the image and likeness of the Maker, right, of the Most High. And if we humans are made in the image and likeness of God, what would you expect human consciousness to do? My answer is create. We are creators of worlds, inherited from the Creator, at least according to the Hebrew wisdom. The truth of the matter is that our minds are like, they're basically biocomputers, right? And they do one thing, they compare things. They compare two things. We make meaning, we learn what stuff is by comparing it to other stuff that we've encountered before. Right? So if you, for example, had never, okay, who's a dog person here? We should do this instead of political parties. Who's a dog person? Who's a cat person? You're allowed to be both. Now that's a little weird, but some people are both. But we love y'all anyway if we don't even quite understand completely. Now imagine a little child who had grown up with dogs in the house. You know how it is. We just know what we grew up with. And imagine that child sees a cat for the first time. They're like, that is the weirdest dog I ever saw. Because that's what our minds do. It's like, it's furry, it's on four legs, it's dog, right? It's like, wait a second, but it's not dog. So now my biocomputer is comparing. This is a different thing. It's a different kind of dog. And then we learn it's called cat, and it walks different, and it acts different, and it has an attitude that you gotta love. Skulking around, trying to eat your food. That's what ours do. But our minds are these biocomputers that compare things, and we create meaning through story or through narrative. We are, at our core, pattern-matching, meaning-making, story-driven creatures. We are mammals physically, but we have this incredible brain, this consciousness that allows us to create our world. And that is what we've gone around doing. Genesis continues. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and the cattle, etc., etc. It's a list of things to have dominion over. And I strongly suspect that the dominion that is being referenced there isn't primarily over the physical world. It's over the meaning that we assign to the world. Now, if you look at it that way, the whole story changes. Right? And that's what we do here in the Unity movement. We take this sacred text and we find that story inside of ourselves. Like, what if this text is in a way an outpicturing of the dynamic that is going on within my consciousness? And when I read that we're made in the image and likeness of the Creator, that means that I'm a creator. Then, okay, then what am I creating? Well, look at how my mind works. That's what I'm creating. I love that song that we just heard. That's one of Nikki's own. Just keep going on. If you didn't catch it, you take every knock as a boost. Every stumbling block as a stepping stone, right? So if you think about how we work, you can realize a stumbling block and a stepping stone are the same thing. The difference is, what do you call them? What do you call them? Is it hot and miserable, or is it mighty warm? It makes a big difference what you call it. And when you shift what you call things, you can start even to have gratitude for them when they show up. Something shows up to block your way. I don't know about you, but when I have an idea of how I want to do something, it goes like this. Everything going my way. Everything's smooth. Everything unfolds. Now, how often does that happen? Every few years, maybe. Something works out like in my mind I would like it to. So every time I encounter something unexpected, I can call that a barrier, a stumbling block, or I can take the wisdom from Miss Nikki's song and call it a stepping stone. Oh, this is a step along the way. I just didn't know about it yet. And now I do know about it. Thank you for this stepping stone. I'm going to step on up on this stepping stone. It is going to support my journey. It is going to support me on the way to my goal. So I offer this to you. Redefine, reinterpret the things that happen to you. right? Take dominion over your own life experience. Don't let anything or anyone tell you who or what you are.
Hallelujah.
You decide
Yes.
who and what you
Yes.
are. You were created in the image and likeness of the Most High, of the Creator, in the Hebrew wisdom teachings. That is who we are. So pay attention to what it is that you're creating. What are you calling things? How are you naming things? So next time you say or hear somebody say, man, it is hot, humid, and miserable. You might say it's hot, humid, and miserable outside. That'll work too. At least know for yourself that hot and humid, they may be things you can measure. Miserable, that's your decision. That's your decision. Even if you are sweaty and your shirt sticks to you, and I was doing some work outside the house and sweat's dripping off the end of my nose. And I'm like, this is why I did computer work. What is up with this? No, I don't want to be leaning over. It's just part of the dance. Right? It's part of the dance. And when I accept it as such, and even better than that, decide that this is an essential part of the journey, now I can be grateful for whatever it is that it may be. Watch your mind, right? Because it is creating your life. So I leave with this final observation. What if nothing in your physical situation, your physical circumstance, what if nothing of that had to change before your experience of your life can radically change? Given the power that you have as a creator, that is absolutely possible. And if this is all true, and I invite you to consider and discover for yourself through experimentation, through your own experience. I say this often and I'll say it again. I'm not asking you to believe anything I say just because I'm saying it. But I am asking you to consider putting it into practice and finding out for yourself if what I'm saying has some merit. And if all this is true, not just intellectually in our minds, but spiritually in our being, then we speak from that consciousness together with our affirmation. And you know it. It is this. We are co-creators with God, actively creating our world through thoughts held in mind. Say that with me. We are co-creators with God, actively creating our world through thoughts held in mind.